Hey guys, welcome back to Total Carp Fishing TV. Today in this Gemini rig video, we're going to be taking a look at their brand new leadless spliceable leader braid, which is the perfect alternative to a lead core. Now this material is perfect for helicopter leaders, inline lead leaders, and everything in between. But in this video, we're going to show you how to tie a leader for a drop-off inline lead. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this leader braid and why you may want to use it. The leader is rated at a 45-pound breaking strain, but it still has a nice soft and supple finish to it. It's made up of a weave of 16 individual fibres that give it a nice round profile. And these fibres have a variety of different colours of brown, giving it a nice subtle camo fleck finish. So now let's get on with tying a leader for a drop-off inline lead system. So you're only going to need a few materials to create this leader. Obviously the leader material itself. You're then also going to need a splicing needle, a inline lead. For this video we're using a Gemini 3-ounce lead, a pair of scissors, a tail rubber of your choice, and then finally a ring swivel. And that's it. It's really simple and you don't need a lot of components to make it up. Right, so I'm going to start off by taking a length of the leader itself. I'm not going to actually take too much off, and it's completely your preference how long you make your leader. But once we've got that, we can remove the scissors and the leader material itself, because that's all we're going to be working with. Next, we're going to take the splicing needle, and we're only going to be working with the end couple of inches of the material. So we've got about 4 inches of material there, and I'm going to start by placing my splicing needle into the material, but it's important at this point that your splicing needle is facing towards the tag end, because that's the direction we're going to be pushing the needle up towards the end of the material. We're going to work the needle into the middle of that leader braid, in between all of those fibres, and as you can see there, the needle's in the centre of it, so I can start working that material down the needle, and we're going to go about 2 inches back towards that tag end. So once you've worked halfway down that material, we're going to poke it through the side, and this is where we attach our ring swivel. Now we don't want to be going through the actual ring itself, because that is where it's going to attach to our rig, so we're going to go through the eye of the swivel. Pass that through. To make life a little bit easier when pulling the material back through itself, it's handy to fray the very end of the fibres of the leader, just to make it pass through the inner a bit easier. So once you've done that, you're going to quite simply latch the needle onto the end, making sure it's nice and tight so it's not going to go anywhere when you're pulling it through. And then quite simply slide it back through, pulling it out the end, and now we can bed it down and tighten it. So now we need to work the material down, and then just before we get to the end, we can trim off that tag end, and that can be placed quite neatly inside the material, so it's not going to cause any snags whatsoever, and a really neat and tidy finish. Give it a nice pull, make sure it's all secure, and then that is that end done. Really simple to do. Now all we need to do is do another one on the other end, and then we're cooking. So now it's time to repeat the process on the other side. This time we're just going to create a loop. For me, what I like to do when I'm attaching a leader for an inline lead is just create a loop both on my main line and the leader itself, and then loop to loop them together. For me, I find that easier, and it makes changing over solid bags a lot more quicker and efficient for me. So we're going to repeat the process, but keep a loop in the end of the material here. Like I mentioned, exactly the same process. We'll work that material onto the end of the needle. Pushing it down, pulling it down very carefully. Fray the end again. pull it back through, but remember, don't pull it too quickly, otherwise you might end up losing your loop. So pull that material through, make sure it's come all the way through, release the latch, and then we're just going to pull it down. Just here you can use a puller tool just to bed it all down nice and tightly, give it a good pull. And there you can see we've got a really nice and neat but really strong loop that's going to attach directly to our main line. Next bit to do is to add our tail rubber onto the leader material itself. So once again, let's take a baiting needle. I'm going to take a slightly thicker one this time. Pass that through and then thread that onto the leader. And then the penultimate thing to do is to attach our rig. Now I've already got a little Slip D solid bag rig here that I use for all my solid bag fishing, and this is what we're going to attach to that ring on the ring swivel. Now there's a whole multitude of ways that you can attach a rig to the swivel, but for me I'm just going to pass the loop through the ring and then loop it all on. Super simple. Pull it down tight, and that's what you've got just before the final part, which is adding our lead. So the last thing to do is place the barrel of the swivel into the bottom of the inline lead, and then finishing it off by sliding the tail rubber down the material and then onto the top of the inline lead. So as you can see, that leader passes directly around the lead rather than going through it. So when a fish does come and pick up your rig and gives it a bit of a pull, that swivel's going to pop out and then the lead's going to fall out of the tail rubber and you're left directly in contact with the fish, not having to worry about the lead whatsoever. What's nice about this is you can reuse the leader over and over again, and if you're using them for solid bag fishing, then you can prep a load of these ready, so when you do get a bite, you can wind in, land the fish, reattach a new one and get it straight back out there. If you do want any more information on this particular leader material, then head to Gemini's website, which is www.geminicarptackle.com.